Hello, I'm Lana Newman Cruzy, and welcome to We've Got Books. And boy, do we ever! We are three authors, Anne Greene, myself, Lana Newman Cruzy, and James Yarborough. We're coming to you from the big sky country of the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas.
Hello, I'm Anne Greene.
And I'm James Yarborough.
We'll be your hosts for We've Got Books, and we're so excited to connect with you. We are authors who delight in telling you about our books, as well as interviewing other Christian fiction writers about their books. Our goal is to introduce you to some great Christian fiction. We'll focus on getting to know authors and discuss fiction of different genres, such as suspense, romance, historical, mystery, women's fiction, humor, and westerns. Have you ever read a sensational book and wondered about the author? We'll sit around the table chatting to get to know each author and how his book was created. So, sit back and enjoy this ride into the literary world. Today, Jim Yarborough is interviewing Anne Greene, an award-winning author of 37 books.
Thank you, Lana. Well, Anne, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I live in Allen, Texas, and I've been writing for approximately 30 years, and publishers have published 37 of my books. I was born in Ohio, then moved to San Diego, and then to Chicago. Fleeing the frigid Illinois winters, I settled in Texas. I graduated from the University of Texas at Dallas, summa cum laude, with a degree in literary studies. But I worked as a legal assistant for a few years. And because I'm a creative person, I switched from the legal field to photography. Hubby and I ran our own photography studio before he, a colonel in the Army, was deployed to different foreign countries. Not wanting to run the studio alone, we closed shop. And at that point, I began my dream job, writing Christian fiction.
Well, Anne, as a military wife, you mentioned you traveled to different foreign countries. Did you set any of your books in those countries, or did you set your books in America?
I enjoy a thrilling life as a military wife, traveling with my husband to many overseas countries. I've been blessed to visit 40 different foreign countries and every state in our beautiful United States. Some of my books take place in foreign countries and some here in the U.S. I found Turkey to be one of the most exotic and wrote a suspense novel, Shadow of the Dagger, set in Turkey. We also traveled to the British Isles, England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. And I set a 2-book historical series in Scotland titled Masquerade Marriage and Marriage by Arrangement. The books cover some of the most turbulent times Scotland faced. Plus, I've always been interested in women leaving their comfort zones and entering exciting and even dangerous jobs. Thus, you'll find my World War II books like Angel with Steel Wings and A Codebreaker's Christmas Surprise engrossing, and both are set here in the United States.
Well, you certainly have lived and traveled extensively, Anne. What kind of Christian fiction do you write? What's your genre?
I'm what people call a hybrid. Rather than specializing in one genre, I write many. My published books are historical romance, suspense, mystery, and humor. I write both historical and contemporary. I have series and standalone books.
Romances. Dare I ask how far your romances progress?
That's a very important question. I love to reveal that Christians can fall madly in love, find Christ, or continuing following Christ during their romance, but wait until marriage to unite the physical love. I know this seems archaic to young people today, but this is the way God ordained for men and women. And those who strive to put God first in their lives find His way extremely fulfilling.
Well, I very much agree with that, Anne. With all the writing you do you have time for any hobbies?
Well, not exactly a hobby. Treasuring time with my children and grandchildren keep me happy. For hobbies, of course, I love to read and I love to travel. I dabble in oil painting. Listeners can see some of my paintings on my website, AnneGreeneAuthor.com. That's ANNEGREENE author.com. I love to sing in our church choir. I do aerobic dance and line dancing. And I'm always up for dinner and games with friends.
You're certainly a busy lady, yet you've had time to write 37 books. I'd love to hear more about them. What book are we discussing today?
Today, we're getting acquainted with my anthology, Brides of the Wild West, where you'll find two of my favorite novellas, Spur of the Moment Bride and Texas Law.
I love anthologies. Two great novellas in one book. First, let's talk about Spur of the Moment Bride. That's an intriguing title. What type of story is it? And would you read the back cover copy for our listeners?
Thanks for asking. These are both historical romances. Here's the back cover copy for Spur of the Moment Bride. Heiress Abby Hollister's papa demands she stop toying with young men's hearts and marry within a month or be disinherited. After reading an ad seeking a mail-order bride in untamed Laramie, Wyoming, Abby lists characteristics she expects in her husband and sets off to claim the perfect mate and secure her personal fortune. Stagecoach driver Zach Taylor likes his exciting job where he outsmarts robbers and Indians and keeps the stage running, regardless of the weather, breakdowns, and ornery passengers. But passenger Abby Hollister proves to be an unusual challenge. He protects her on the journey to Laramie, but in that town, women are as scarce as birds' nest in a cuckoo clock. And men go crazy when the beauty arrives seeking a husband.
And I think the listeners would like to hear how your hero and heroine met. Can you read a short excerpt of that?
Thank you. I'd love to. It starts out, Papa hadn't even chosen to arrive late at his precious mercantile to see her off. He thought the whole Laramie idea preposterous and declared she'd never see such an ill-conceived plan through. Well, she might not have, had he not been so condescending. But she certainly would now. Nothing would stop her from returning in 3 weeks with a husband. She stepped toward the cafe. A thundering of hoofs and a bellowed, "Stagecoach coming!" brought her to a quick standstill. The stage driver halted his 4 horses with a screech of brakes and huffing of animals, their breath wafting clouds in the cool air. Dust billowed up from the street and surrounded her. She coughed and choked.
The driver slammed down from his high perch to stand before her. He tipped his dusty hat. "Ma'am, are you boarding?"
Brown eyes stared at her above a face smothered in black whiskers. She swished her long skirts to brush off as much of the dust as she could. "Yes, I am," she managed before she sneezed into her handkerchief.
"Sorry about the dust. I failed to see you standing there." He tied the 2 handfuls of reins he held to the hitching post. "We don't stop here long. I'll get this luggage loaded." He turned toward her, long-lashed brown eyes wide. "Are these all yours?"
"Yes, I'm planning to stay in Laramie for 3 weeks."
He nodded and yelled to the man riding shotgun, "Yuri, catch these, will you?"
He tossed her heavy bag laden with books up to the other man kneeling on the top of the stage as if her luggage weighed no more than a sack of flour. Well, she shouldn't stand there with her mouth hanging open. She closed her lips. None of her rejected beaux could have loaded her belongings without breaking into a sweat. He was so efficient. Well, of course, that was the man's job, so he was accustomed to tossing heavy items to the compartment above the coach. She need not be surprised. And yet she stood, her brain registering his strength and ability. True, he was tall, and the distance wasn't so far for him, and his mackinaw hid his build. But he must be somewhat muscular to heave her trunk up on one shoulder. When Moses and Caleb had lugged it to the wagon and jimmied the big trunk aboard as if the leather box weighed as much as a steamship. How beautiful to watch the man in action. But she must not stare. 'Twasn't ladylike.
Are you ready, miss?
Why, he wasn't even breathing hard. Yes, I am. He opened the stagecoach door for her. She gathered up her skirts and tried to set her boot on the first high step. He held out his hand and all but heaved her up onto the coach. She looked back down at him. What is your name, sir? He lifted dark eyebrows above dangerous-looking brown eyes.
Zach Taylor, ma'am.
Even his resonant voice stirred her blood. Her heart tripped faster. Blue blazes. Had she been hoping to hear he was Corky Callahan? She settled herself inside the coach on the leather seat. Well, God had been known to work miracles, but usually he didn't place the perfect man right in her path. Though after Papa's mandate, she'd ask him to. He could have done just that for her, knowing she'd be in somewhat a frenzy lately. Anyway, despite the dense collection of whiskers, Mr. Tyler appeared too good-looking. Her future husband had to be ugly.
Where are you headed, little lady, all alone?
She blinked, suddenly aware she was not alone inside the coach. The portly male sitting opposite her had a voice that rasped like rusty hinges on a door. He moved his knees until they banged against hers. She shifted away.
It's all right to talk with strangers. We'll be traveling together for the next 98 miles. You should know each other fairly well by then. He leaned forward and extended his hand. I'm Stanley Stevens.
She took the chubby hand. Miss Abby Hollister. The coach leaned aslant with the weight of another body and rocked as a man in full cavalry uniform heaved himself inside and hunkered down on the seat next to Mr. Stevens. The officer's full blonde mustache curved proudly down over sinuous lips.
Major Jason Greenwood at your service, ma'am. If there's any way I can make your travel easier, please just ask.
She nodded. Thank you, Major Greenwood, but I'm sure I shall manage just fine. The two large men overflowed the opposite seat, leaving her barely enough space for her knees and feet between them. She settled her handbag on her lap. Large men probably should pay more fare since they occupied more space, but they probably didn't. Again, the coach tipped to the side as a young man with long, dark hair entered.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but I must take the seat beside you. Be sure I shall act the gentleman at all times.
She managed to smile. Was she to travel all the way to Laramie in the company of men? Traveling alone in the company of 3 men had not been part of her plan. Her imagination had provided a nice rocking ride in an otherwise empty coach. She stiffened her spine. She could handle this.
I hope you don't mind sharing this buffalo robe, miss. There are but 2, and the gentlemen on the opposite side are using theirs. James Davenport, miss, but my friends call me Diamond Jim. A gambler, Stevens mumbled, his double chin quivering. Yes, sir, I do make a profitable living with the cards. Is that a problem for you? Diamond Jim shoved open his full-length coat to reveal a long-barreled revolver tucked into the waistband of his breeches. No need to frighten the lady. Major Greenwood shifted the buffalo robe on his lap and let the side sword propped on the floor beside him gleam in the morning light.
A lurch threw her back against the leather cushion, and her head jerked back, tilting her traveling hat over one eye. "Thank you, Lord. There are no more passengers." Diamond Jim surely didn't need to sit so close that his thigh pressed against hers. "Would you mind, sir, edging closer over toward your door?" The coach rocked into its own rhythm, and the muted thunder of horses' hooves traveling toward her destination brought a measure of comfort to her heart. This trip would end. She adjusted her smart green traveling hat. She should have let Papa accompany her. He had offered, but she'd been so angry with him. She'd wanted this adventure for herself, without his ticking off the days until he disinherited her. Well, that's the beginning of an exciting adventure. When exquisitely beautiful Abby Hollister arrives in Laramie as a mail-order bride, fireworks explode. There are only 3 women living in Laramie, and they are already married. The stagecoach driver feels responsible until he can deliver Abby to the man she came to marry. When he discovers the man who advertised for a mail-order bride is his married best friend, he realizes Abby was meant to meet him. Zach knows there are 3 men in Laramie who can clear leather faster than he, and all 3 will want this woman as their bride. Yet he feels responsible for her well-being. Someone was going to get hurt.
This sounds like a fascinating story, Anne. Thanks so much. Okay, tell us about Texas law. And I know you like to read the back cover copy for our listeners.
I do. Thanks, Jim. It's 1879, San Antonio, Texas. Stagecoach robbers steal the mortgage money from Cat Devine, the rancher's daughter. Cat's father hires a Pinkerton detective to restore the money and protect his daughter from the disfigured desperado who threatens to kidnap Cat and take her for his own woman. Travis McGuire, the Pinkerton detective, is a man to be reckoned with. He faces down a flood, gunfights, and Cat's father. But can he restore Cat's sullied reputation? Cat Devine confronts stage robbers, her demanding father, and gossiping neighbors. But can she resist Travis McGuire, a hero with his heart as big as his Texas home? He's a man who wears a star and upholds his commitment.
Well, Anne, same question. I'd love to hear how your hero and heroine met in this story, too. Can you read a short excerpt of that?
I can, if you read the male part. And it actually starts out with the male part.
Okay, we'll give it a try. Travis McGuire, a tall figure, lugging a saddle on his shoulder, strode through the darkness toward the bunkhouse. He rubbed a hand over his jaw. Other ranchers had hankered to hire this fast gun, his leadership ability, and his knowledge of Pinkerton's files that he often used to ferret out criminals. But with Devine's daughter in danger, human life justified first place on his list. He'd sleep in the bunkhouse as long as Devine needed him to protect the oldest daughter. Old man Devine had been unreasonable, expecting the outlaws to be caught immediately, probably worried about his daughter, and he demanded that mortgage money be recovered before the felons spent it all. A ghost materialized to his right, gliding toward him, filmy white garments billowing in the slight breeze. What? He froze so suddenly the saddle shifted on his shoulder, and knocked him in the head. Wrong. A female. Her skirt swished through the long grass. A sweet scent wafted to his nose. She was no phantom.
Oh, Mr. Jones, might I speak with you for a few minutes?
The melodious voice eased into Travis's thoughts. Certainly, miss. Who was Jones?
Perhaps we could move into the tree shadows. I really don't want Papa or any of his cowboys to see us.
Alarm bells rang. Not this time. Too many women had tried to maneuver him into a compromising situation. He hadn't evaded a forced marriage by being stupid. He swung the saddle to the ground and stood in full moonlight, in open view of the ranch house and the bunkhouse. This spot seems fine. What can I do for you? Which daughter had him cornered?
Oh, certainly, if that's what you wish. Papa's probably in his bedroom now anyway and can't see us from there. She tipped her head up.
Moonlight splashed her face. The older daughter. Both girls were lookers, but the older one had fiery hair, and he'd heard a temperament to match. He'd glimpsed them both while seated in Mr. Devine's study 20 minutes past. He'd been certain the girl hadn't noticed him. He'd best not loiter here. No need to start tongues wagging. He shifted his weight to rest most of the long body on one leg. Her face glowed in the moonlight, delicate and luminous like a fairy's. Huge eyes gazed at him, hitting him like a stallion's kick, taking his breath away.
How is your mother? I hope she is better. Compassion blanketed the lady's voice.
I'm sorry, Miss Devine. You made a mistake. I'm not Jones.
She gasped, and her hands flew up to clasp together. Oh, I'm ever so sorry. I didn't mean to trouble you. Are you new?
I just arrived. Rode up after supper. I've been inside negotiating with your father. The man's a tough businessman.
So I've heard.
We shook on a deal. He swept off his hat. Which sister are you? He knew, but she didn't know that.
I'm the eldest, Caitlin.
He thrust out his hand. Good to meet you. I'm Special Agent Travis McGuire, the Pinkerton agent your father hired. Feel free to call me Travis. She shook his hand. Hers nestled inside his, soft and warm and trusting. Good to know her name.
I hope you find those criminals and send them straight to prison. They frightened Jane and me half to death. And Papa will lose the ranch if we don't get that money back. She withdrew her hand.
Interesting she didn't mention the danger one crook threatened her with. He cleared his throat. I understand your concern, but you didn't come out here alone to see me. You were meeting Mr. Jones? She moved closer. The light, flowery scent wafted up to tease his senses. He wouldn't step away. Wouldn't let her know how being out here alone in the moonlight with her thudded his pulse like a cattle stampede.
Yes, I'd hoped to intercept Mr. Jones here.
Flitting shadows passed over the moon, but the pale oval of her face remained visible. She pursed her lips, and a frown crinkled her forehead. Though he'd been around many women while at Pinkerton's headquarters in Chicago, her beauty strung his nerves to high alert, so her every movement etched into his brain. He shouldn't be out here alone with her, unchaperoned. She released feelings inside he shouldn't allow, especially for a client's daughter. He stepped backward. You'll grow accustomed to my questions. I am a detective, after all. I'm not intruding, but I need to know. Were you out here to engage in a lover's meeting with Jones?
Oh, heavens, no. I wanted to apologize to him. I'm so sorry my father demoted him. The robbery wasn't his fault. Her chest rose and fell with a deep breath. She rushed on as if she'd memorized what she wanted to say and needed to speak her words. Even if Mr. Jones had been on the stage, there was nothing he could have done. She pulled in another obvious breath. There were 3 desperados, and I believe the stage driver and his shotgun collaborated with the robbers.
Travis grunted. He clamped his lips over the blunt truth. She thought wrong. Those robbers wouldn't have gotten away with the money if Jones had been there. With his gun, the bandits wouldn't have stood a chance. Mr. Devine was right. Jones should have protected the ladies and the payroll. Now safeguarding this delightful lady fell to him. He straightened to his full height and glanced at the lighted windows in the ranch house. He'd been out here alone far too long with the bewitching lady. Her nearness flowed into him like a warm spring day during the freeze of a winter. Steam in the air dazed him. She shivered. Good night, Miss Caitlin. You best get back inside the house before you catch a chill. He grabbed his saddle from the ground and hefted the heavy weight onto his shoulder.
Good night, Mr. McGuire. I'm so happy my father hired you. I'm sure you'll catch those awful men.
She turned and glided over the path to the ranch house. Her light feet made no sound climbing the back stairs. Her hair gleamed in the moonlight as she opened the ranch door and disappeared inside. He had his work cut out for him. She scrambled his thinking. He whistled as he rambled over the path toward the bunkhouse. Tomorrow would be a long day. Images of Caitlin Devine needled him like slivers of glass in his brain. He'd get no sleep.
Wow, that's some meeting. Thank you, Jim and Anne. Anne, I've read your book, and it is exciting, packed with information, and has a wonderful spiritual application. What would you like readers to take from reading Brides of the Wild West?
My book has many difficulties for my characters, but I'd like my readers to learn the lesson my characters learned. It's found in one of my favorite Bible verses, Isaiah 43, 1 and 2. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon you.
I love that Bible verse. Thank you. It's good to know. Do you have anything else, Anne, you'd like to share with your readers? Do you have a newsletter, a webpage?
Thanks for asking. You can find my webpage at annegreenauthor.com. That's A-N-N-E and Green with an E, G-R-E-E-N-E. My webpage posts cover all of my books and also give you pictures of my travels, shows you some of my oil paintings, gives you a brief biography, and provides you with a synopsis of my books, plus a link where you can buy them. I also post information about my husband's military career. Also, you can join my newsletter on my webpage. My newsletter brings you up to date on my new books and events in my life. Did I mention in my newsletter I give away autographed copies of some of my books? I would love to hear from you and get to know you. And I'd like to mention you can find all 37 of my books narrated in audiobooks.
Thank you. That's good to know, Anne. Listeners, we're so glad you joined us. Be sure to read the other podcasts listed on We've Got Books. All our podcasts are short, fun, and introduce you to other authors and books. You can find all the books we mention on Amazon. Look up the author's name and the book he discussed. Meet with us next week when we will spotlight our very own Anne Greene's book, Dollar Brides, an exciting novella based on true facts in American history. Until then, read a great book, preferably one we've mentioned on our fun podcast.